Today, we're going to be looking at the beast tribe that has nearly completely integrated themselves into our societies. A race of shore people who are fantastic merchants, love gold, but are generally disliked by the public. No, it's not the Lalafell, but that was a good guess. Today, we'll be looking at the rat folk of Eorzea. Today, we'll be looking at the Qiqirn. The Qiqirn, the short, quick-breathing rat folk that you've probably seen a few times in your travels across Eorzea, but paid them no mind. A race that doesn't have a homeland, and as far as anyone is aware, they've just always been around and now exist all over the continent due to their defining characteristic that seeps into every part of their lore. The Qiqirn are able to adopt and integrate themselves into any community or culture they live around. You'll see this theme of integration quite a lot over all of their lore. So let's get started. Their physical characteristics. The Qiqirn are a rat-like race with a very short average height and an even shorter average lifespan. Their average lifespan is only about 25 years, and they're considered fully grown adults at the age of 5. They are truly the best speedrunners at life. This going fast lifestyle has led to them having some rather interesting biological traits when it comes to reproduction. They pop out babies faster than the average player dies on extreme fights, giving birth to 5 to 10 new babies at a time, and baking those buns only takes 20 days. Plus, they're able to put a new loaf in immediately after the last one, meaning a Qiqirn can be reloaded to be ready to fire out more babies with frightening speed and... Okay, what the f was that analogy? A single Qiqirn mother can produce 12 to 18 litters every year, meaning a single Qiqirn couple can produce 120 to 180 new Qiqirn every year. This is the second fastest possible growth of any race in Eorzea, followed only slightly behind the Viero, who just popped out of nowhere, and who are about to have a second bit of population explosion thanks to Endwalker. And that's me dating this video. But beyond this very important information on how prolific they are at shagging, the Qiqirn only really have 3 special traits to them. Their incredibly nimble fingers, their natural talent at mental arithmetic, and their very sensitive sense of smell. The first 2 we'll touch on when we go over their society, and the last one we'll talk about now when going over their diet. The Qiqirn's incredible sense of smell allows them to detect and differentiate even the faintest of odors, such as the lies that say that the group you just joined is a farm party, and definitely not a prog party. Like every party I tried joining in PF. But the sense of smell is mostly used to detect the different, faint, and sometimes indistinguishable scents in their food, allowing them to find poisons or fungi or otherwise harmful toxins in their food. Because it's quite an important trait when you consider what they eat. Because the Qiqirn have a, let's say, unique palate. They are famous, or rather infamous, for chewing on anything they think would be even remotely edible, no matter what it is. They will eat rotten fruit and vegetables, spoiled fish, meat covered in fungi, diapers, and generally any trash they can find. They are even willing to eat the most disgusting trash of all, the majority of the Final Fantasy XIV player base. I'm so sorry, that was so mean and elitist. I gotta cut that section. There are some Qiqirn who would happily eat people and even other Qiqirn, and this practice is frighteningly common among Qiqirn bandit groups, especially those in central Fanlan and the rather large group around the Ziggurat in the peaks. Both these groups are well known to attack travelers and adventurers in order to rob them and eat them. But there's one type of food the Qiqirn love over everything else: eggs. And almost any sort of egg. Crab eggs, dodo eggs, pelican eggs, chicken eggs, any egg. You can even bribe them by just giving them an egg. They'll just spill all their secrets because you gave them a raw, slightly stale chicken egg. Yeah, their stomachs often overpower their brain. Honestly, the Qiqirn are known to do some really questionable things when it comes to food in their lore. There are multiple accounts of Qiqirn overeating so much that their stomachs explode or they get a heart attack. For a race that's supposed to be very clever when it comes to money, they're really not that smart when it comes to portion control. They would even go into taverns and marketplaces and just gobble everything up, even if they can't pay for it, which is why they're normally not welcome in most establishments. So people don't exactly have a positive view of Qiqirn in society. Speaking of which, I've talked about their diet for quite a bit now, so let's move on and talk about their society. Remember, Qiqirn have an excellent ability to adopt and become a part of other cultures. And this is exactly what they did. The culture of the city-state they live in is their culture. The city-state's leader is their leader. The city-state's laws are their laws, and so on. So there's really not much that can be said here, but they do have a few quirks that allow them to still be a little different in whatever culture they live in. Remember, there were two physical traits that I said we talk about here: their incredibly nimble fingers and their natural talent for mental arithmetic. Well, their nimble fingers make near all Qiqirn exceedingly proficient at street performing and pickpocketing. They can expertly pluck a lute string and then follow it up by expertly plucking all the gil out of your purse. Though most Qiqirn don't do this and instead use their nimble fingers to become expert money counters, merchants, and money lenders, because their natural talent at mental math makes them experts when working with money. Though, unfortunately, both the job profession of being a thief and merchant has led to further the less than favorable image they have in pretty much any society they live in. Their proficiency with money and thievery has given them an image of a people's group who are all monstrously greedy and only care about gil, that they're cutthroats in business and would happily sell their own family for but a few coins. Now, obviously this is just generalization and racism coming into play, but it is a widely held belief, even though there are many friendly, selfless, and caring Qiqirn out there. It's just, unfortunately, the persistent bit of prejudice that they have to deal with. But how bad is it exactly for a Qiqirn? Well, let's see at how they're treated in Ul'dah. More than 20 years ago, the Qiqirn were a common sight in the city of Ul'dah and were welcomed due to their natural talent as traders. They became very established and most became quite wealthy due to their talents. You know, being naturally born merchant is really good when you live in a city that only cares about money. The Qiqirn absolutely thrived, and though we don't know for sure, it wouldn't surprise me if they became the second largest group of people in the city, right after the little spudbuds who made the city. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, Where are all these Qiqirn? I've been to Uldar and I've never seen a single one inside. And you can thank the Syndicate for that. Those very friendly folk. 20 years ago, in the year 1559, the Sultan, who was pretty much just a puppet for the Syndicate, enacted a new law that forbid all dealings with beastmen and forced them out of the city. In one fell swoop, all of the beastmen were purged from Uldan society, which included most Qiqirn. These Qiqirn became the bandits around Fenland today, or well, their descendants became these bandits, because, you know, they have that short lifespan of 25 years. Please note though that I said most Qiqirn were forced out. Interestingly, the richest of the Qiqirn were welcomed to stay. Beastmen? Oh no, you've got money, you're welcome to stay. When you die though, all your estate will default to the Syndicate. Is that alright? Good. Yeah, the Syndicate profited quite a lot over the Beastmen and Qiqirn's suffering. Now, that was the worst treatment the Qiqirn get, and are generally treated better everywhere else, but not by much. Next, we'll be talking about their religion and god. Quite simply, they adopt the religion of where they live. So those Qiqirn who live in the city-states believe in the 12. The Qiqirn have even been so integrated into the belief of the 12 that there's even a patron saint who is a Qiqirn, which is the only saint that is part of the beast tribe races. Now, of course, like all the other races across the realm, there are Qiqirn who follow different faiths or no faiths, but the belief in the 12 is by far the most dominant faith amongst their people's group. But short and sweet for their religion, now we've arrived at their final talking point, their naming conventions. So the Qiqirn seem to have a very simple naming convention, and from the very few named Qiqirn, seem to have zero distinction between male and female names. Their names have two components to them. The first part is comprised of a single syllable repeated twice, such as Nunu or Mimi, and the second part is always rune. So names would be Nunu rune or Mimi rune. As for last names, well, we don't know. We've never seen a Qiqirn who has one or uses one, and we've never even seen a family name be mentioned. They may exist and we've just happened to never be exposed to one, or they may only have a first name and call themselves son/daughter of their father's name and mother's name, or they may just not use family names. We just don't know. But yeah, with that, we draw this to a close. The final Beast Tribe video before Endwalker. I hope you enjoyed. Next up, I'm definitely gonna be making some videos on the Endwalker stuff. Videos on the jobs, new fights, streaming some of my silliness and such. It'll be a ton of fun. Though, don't worry, I'll definitely return and be doing the rest of the Beast Tribes. And when I do, the next Beast Tribe will be whichever one of the following Beast Tribes you guys vote for in the comments below. Will it be the Gobbyflock Goblins, the Snicky Snack Lady Ananta, or the presumably delicious Namazu? Let me know which you'd like to see and why. The most requested one will be the next Beast Tribe when I get back to going over all the Beast Tribe lore. But for now, goodbye my friends, and have a great day. Boom, 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 boom.